Would you believe I found Bronze Age comic books at a garage sale, including some keys for 50 cents or less? Check it out. Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Chris and this is Northgarden Comics. Today I've got a small but significant haul to share with you. I'll say that one of my main goals in having this channel is to be able to share with you the good books that I find for great prices that help me to build up my collection, and hopefully as you see some of these things you'll feel empowered as well to get out there, be hunting, and know that if you combine knowing what you want, how much you want to pay for it, and then a good dose of patience, that you too could find some of these really good books and get really great deals on them. So today it's a garage sale haul. I've said before, I love going garage sailing. My wife Nicole and I will go pretty much as many Saturdays as we can, weather and schedule permitting. Most of the time though, I come home empty-handed, and that's just because it seems like people in my area don't really sell comic books, even when I ask them if they are. But every once in a while, they are, and usually those hits are pretty good and well worth all those kind of drought gaps in between. This particular sale was one, it was a typical Saturday morning. Nicole and I, we pick a loop and look for signs and, just try to see what we can hit up. We get some coffee along the way, make a little Saturday morning adventure out of it. And we had pretty much finished, and I had once again come home empty-handed. And on our way home, we were only a few miles from home and saw on the side of the road this A-frame kind of a sign, and it said garage sale, lots of tools. And usually those types of sales, there's not going to be anything for me. If you've ever gone to a tool focused garage sale, it's usually, like it says, a bunch of tables of old beat up tools, and tool collectors and tool users will frequent those, but there's not really anything there for me. Well, we figured we'd look anyway because it was close to home, and why not? So we stopped at the sale. I go up to the garage, and I don't even know if the guy had tools or not, because the first thing I saw was 4 long boxes of comics in the garage, and that's all I looked at the entire time. And as I got closer, 2 boxes were labeled with books that were 50 cents each, and 2 boxes were labeled with books that were only 25 cents each. So by this point, I'm super excited. And then I started to flip through the boxes themselves, and what he had, it was his own collection. We talked a little bit while I was looking, and these were books that he was just looking to get rid of. He knew he had some things that were more valuable. Some of that he knew because someone earlier had told him, hey, some of these books are really valuable. And I don't know if he sold those to that buyer at the 50 cents or 25 cents, or if he actually pulled them out and put them away. But nevertheless, there were some good things that I found. I will say the books are pretty much all in the Bronze Age horror genre. And looking back, this is a little bit older of a haul. I just haven't gotten around to filming this one for you, but it's pre-YouTube for me, pre-COVID. And I would say that had I gone back to do this sale now, I probably would have come home with a lot more books, just because I think I'd be a little bit more adventurous in what I was buying. And I think I know a lot more from watching other YouTubers, from watching other collectors, and hearing about what they collect. To this day, I'm still not a huge horror genre person, but there's more that I would have tried to pick up. And at the time though, I was really looking primarily for my own collection, and then maybe I was looking to see if there were some books I'd buy to be able to turn around and sell, so that way I could have more money to go buy more comic books. And I did find a few of those. I'll show you those at the end. So jumping right in here to the books, first one up here, and some of these are out of the bags because I was just recently looking at them in preparation for this. So we've got King Conan #1. This is from 1980. I think the volume ran for like 55 issues. And this was the 3rd Conan the Barbarian series to come out from Marvel. The first was Conan the Barbarian. The second, I think, was Savage Sword of Conan. That may be the most famous, but it was a black and white. And then this is the 3rd one, King Conan. I don't have a lot of knowledge on Conan the Barbarian, or a lot of history, or any history really with the title or the character, but it was a #1, and again, Bronze Age, so pretty cool to be able to pick that up. And you can tell the pages are not in the best condition. There's definitely some browning and aging there, but it was a fun pickup. The next 3 books are from the same series. And you can see, so we've got Tomb of Dracula here. So again, a horror series from the Bronze Age. And I think at this point, Marvel, when they wanted to get into doing vampires, they went with Dracula, because I believe at that point, the character and the name Dracula was in public domain, so they could run with that, and that was the most famous vampire. But they did this series with Dracula. I would say probably the popularity for this series now comes from the character Blade, who was introduced in issue 10. He did not have issue 10, otherwise I would have picked that up. But this is issue 19. This is the issue where Blade realizes that he's immune to vampire bites. On this page here, he had been bitten and didn't turn into a vampire and was wondering why. And I don't know who this other character is, but he's like, well, somehow you're immune. And the deal was that Blade's mother, who was a human, was bit by a vampire while she was in labor giving birth to Blade. And so he's half human, half vampire. He didn't turn into a vampire, but he's also immune to the bite. So that's a cool one. And again, you can see there's some cover wrapping here. If that had, a higher price tag to it, I probably wouldn't have bought it, but 25 cents, I'm going to be real forgiving on damage to books and condition when it's only a quarter. So number 19. And then we've got number 45. I forget what the significance of this one is. It's a first appearance of somebody, but cool cover on that, Tomb of Dracula, number 45. And then the other one I picked up was Tomb of Dracula, number 58. This is the first solo Blade story. So I got a few issues of that. He did have some other issues in the Tomb of Dracula run, but these were some of the ones that I looked up quickly on my Key Collectors app at the time and figured I would grab those at least. Again, even though I don't have much attachment to the characters in the story. That is not the case, though, for these next few books. The next few come from an X-Men related title that I never would have expected to see in the wild, nor would I have expected to get them for 25 cents a piece. And some were 25 cents, some were 50 cents. I don't remember which were which, but you get the idea, right? This is Amazing Adventures featuring the Beast. This was a series that ran only like 39 issues, I think. The first 11 were stories focused on Black Widow and the Inhumans, and then with issue 11, it switched over to the Beast, and issue 11, which he also did not have, otherwise I definitely would have grabbed it. Issue 11 is the first furry Beast, and Beast's fur was gray at first in comics when he had turned into the Beast that we know today, but gray fur at first. Issue 13 is part of that story. Beast's story ran from issues 11 through 17, though issue 17 is really just a reprinting from previous stories with Beast's origin and things like that that they pulled from earlier titles. So the main new stories run from issue 11 to 16. But I picked up issue 13. Here's issue 14. And it still amazes me that the costume that he came up with, the disguise, he developed this human mask and things so he could walk around at work and in public and still pull off looking like a human. Pretty impressive for the time, I'd say. Yeah, but issue 14. And then this next one, I actually got 2 copies. This is issue 15. This is the first issue where Beast has black fur. His fur was intended to go black, but because of the way they colored and inked black at the time, you can see obviously he's black and blue, the way they do that for the lighting. Over time, it eventually just became that he had blue fur, but it was originally intended to be black, and I can show you here. Here we go. There's the panel where he wakes up and he says his fur has changed. It's black. So it was meant to be black, and then eventually went blue out of just a printing kind of a change there. But these were really cool finds. So happy not only to find 1 but 2 of this particular issue. I still want to get the rest in this run. Another fun tidbit about the Amazing Adventures story also ties in with Justice League of America and then Mighty Thor at the time. But the writers for those 3 titles, so you had Steve Englehart, you had Jerry Conway, and you had Len Wein, they got together and decided to do a subtle, unofficial crossover. And what they did was they wrote themselves into one issue of each of those titles, where they all converged in, it was Rutland, Vermont, on Halloween for the Rutland Halloween parade, and there's floats and superheroes involved, lots of costumes. But what you can see in each of these issues are those writers interacting with the characters of that particular title. But you can see in the background, let me see if I can pull up for you and show you this real quick. So here's Amazing Adventures 16, for example. This is the first part of that unofficial crossover, but you can see, let me find the page. Here's them. Here's the page where you start to see them, the guy with the blonde hair and the glasses there. But let me see if I can find, oh yeah. Here we got a float down at the bottom. You can see it says superheroes on the float, and it looks like a Flash character. And then up top there, you can see a Batman on the float. But in the Marvel ones, you'll see DC characters in the background and vice versa in the Justice League of America. But they wrote themselves into the story, interacting with Beast in this issue, and then with the Justice League in Justice League of America issue 103. And then part 3 of that crossover is Mighty Thor 207, and they interact with Thor there. So that's just a cool behind the scenes, or right there on the page type of an interaction. I love those kinds of stories, and I didn't catch that when I read Amazing Adventures 16. It felt a little weird. I'm like, who are these characters? They're just normal humans that they're talking to, but that explains it now that I know that backstory. So that's Amazing Adventures. The last book that I got that I want to show you is probably my favorite, just because it involves Jack Kirby. And again, I have no connection to the title, but it was a Jack Kirby find, and I was not going to leave it behind for whether it was 25 cents or 50 cents. It does not matter. But this is Where Monsters Dwell, #1. This was an anthology series that was originally published in, I wrote it down, yeah. The main story was originally published in Tales of Suspense #10, and then the other 2 stories they did pull from other previous issues. But that's how the series ran. And I saw this one. I didn't get a chance to look this one up. I just saw Kirby connected to this, and so I grabbed that one. That was a super cool find for either 50 cents or 25 cents. I do have 3 more books to show you, but I'll show you just the covers digitally. These are books that I bought at the garage sale, but I have since sold them and then taken that money to buy more comic books. So I will say I'm not a big reseller of comics, but I have kind of trained myself to keep an eye out for books that would be valuable, but not necessarily of any personal significance to me, because if I can then sell them, make money, and buy more comics, I would love to get to a point where the hobby is really just paying for itself and is self-sustaining. So the first of those books that I bought and then have since sold, back to Tomb of Dracula. This is issue number 17. This is the issue where Blade is bit by a vampire. So we saw 19 that I still have, that he realizes he's immune, but this is where he was first bit. So I got that one. The next book to show you, and I apologize, the cover's coming through a little blurry here, but this is Godzilla King of Monsters #1. This was actually in really good shape when I bought it. It was a little bit harder to let go of, not because I have a huge connection to Godzilla. I've enjoyed some of the movies, things like that, but it was just in really good shape, and it was a #1, and that's a really cool cover. But I willed myself to release it to have the money then to be able to buy other books. And the third one was probably, from a key perspective, I don't know if I call it the most valuable, because they're all kind of in low to mid-grade condition. The one I'm about to show you was kind of beat up, but it was a significant first appearance. This is Adventures into Fear with Man-Thing, number 19. This is actually the first appearance of Howard the Duck, and it was not in the best shape. It had some tears. The pages were definitely not white at all, but again, I don't have any attachment to the character, so try to get myself to let go of those things, sell them, and then use that money to buy things that I do have significant interest in. So those are the books that I bought and have subsequently sold. All right, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to wrap up this garage sale haul of some really cool Bronze Age books that I picked up for 50 cents or less. I really hope you saw something here that you liked. If you like content like this, go ahead, hit that subscribe button down there. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment down below. If you like watching garage sale hauls, I've got a link here to an earlier garage sale that I went to where I picked up a bunch of books and even some keys for $1 a piece. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.